The number of black males going to college is up, but the number of males getting admitted to medical school is down. Seems to be a roadblock, a bottleneck, or some kind of issue there with people matriculating at this point.
Yeah, you're right. The number of people going to college in general is going up, and certainly same for African Americans. But you've got to dig a little bit deeper. You know, what kind of schools, what kind of colleges are they going to? For example, the proportion of African American males who go to community colleges and get an associate degree is about 7%. That's about the same as a proportion of males in general that get an associate degree. But then when you start talking about those who go into four-year colleges, you know, take out the for-profit universities, that's another issue. But the four-year colleges, then that disparity really grows in terms of African American men and men in general in the college-age population. And then when you talk about the selective schools, that disparity is even greater. And obviously, as you know, being a physician, it's hard getting into med school. You know, it's going to be very hard getting into med school coming from a for-profit university or certainly from a community college. You know, it's almost impossible. So the type of school that African American men are going into is also important, and we've got to delve a little bit deeper into that data.
So the background in terms of education and the quality of education is very important.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, when you look at the reasons why African American males in general are not progressing to get to the stage where they can apply to medical school and be accepted, is complex. You know, certainly there are issues such as the preparation in high school and in elementary school. When you look at the Detroit school system, I mean, that tells you something there. I mean, they're just not preparing college-age kids in adequate numbers. Financial situation is also a factor. It's very well known that if you come from a family in the top quartile of income, that the chances of graduating from college is exponentially higher than if you come from a family of in the bottom quartile. And what's disturbing is that trend is actually, that disparity is growing between those in the top income quartile and those in the bottom income quartile, so that the numbers of African Americans and other minorities from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that are getting degrees is not much different than 30 years ago, whereas those in the top quartile in general has increased from about 40% 30 years ago to close to 90% now. But when you look at it though, you know, one might say, well, that applies to African American women also. You know, the financial situation, preparation in high school and so forth. So why is it that African American men are doing so poorly, whereas African American women are actually doing better? And I think the answer there lies to how we perceive African American men, the stereotyping, the public image, the stereotyping of African American men. You know, we have this image of them as being thugs and this myth that there's more African American men in prison than there is in college, and you know, those kinds of stereotypes that's been unfortunately perpetuated over and over again is a major problem, I think.
You can get more information about the show and our guests at primarycare-tv.com and continue the conversation on Facebook and Twitter.